You might remember back in season 1 when we first visited Edgewood Creamery to talk about their cheeses. But now we're back to learn more about their new product, A2 Milk. So I understand that Edgewood Creamery is coming up on a 5-year anniversary. And Kelly, you took over just a few years ago from the Fletcher family, and we were here a few years ago to talk about cheese with them, so we're back. So take me to how you got involved and what led you to think, I want to take this over and dive into a new adventure.
Well, Fletcher's are friends of mine, and I was raising heifers for them and a couple other dairy farmers, and they came to me and said, we're selling, and I'm like, oh, that's, I'm like, okay. And so it came to about where we talked about it, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So I moved myself from raising cattle over to the creamery. And so now I'm on the other end of things where I'm figuring out what to do with the milk, and not so much, of course, on the cow raising end of things. So that's how I got started.
And Matthew, you're on the cow raising side of things. You're running the dairy that's supplying all of us with milk. So how'd you get involved?
We've been dairy farmers for quite some time, and my father and his wife were friends of Kelly, and it's actually my father's wife is Charles Fletcher's son's daughter-in-law.
All connected.
So, yes, all connected. So
Yes.
when we heard the creamery needed milk, we kind of just had a conversation, and we said, well, we'll see what we can do with that.
And the future looks pretty bright with you guys. So let's
Yes.
talk about what you guys are venturing into now, and that is A2 Milk. What is A2 Milk?
Well, A2 milk is cows that are genetically produce A2 proteins. They don't have any A1 protein in their milk at all. So it's all natural milk. We don't do anything to make it A2. We actually genetically test the cows, and which is a hair sample, and takes 3 weeks to get back. So they come back and say, yes, it is A2. They have that genetics. And so then those cows are separated out, and that's our A2 cows. And A2 milk is easier to digest for some people. If people have maybe lactose issues or just milk hurts their stomach in general, a lot of times the A2 they can drink and process it fine. It doesn't hurt them.
You know, you mentioned A1 and A2. So is that the difference in proteins that's produced?
Yes, the A2 protein is a protein that does not create an amino acid, which that amino acid would then cause a lot of the digestive problems that a person might experience, drinking the A1 milk. So the A2 does not have that, which then makes it where it doesn't create any of those inflammatory issues and stuff like that in the stomach.
So I'm guessing that you get lots of questions about how do you make A2 milk? It doesn't happen in the creamery when you're processing. It happens genetically in the pasture when you're breeding. So explain that process.
Well, we have to take a genetic test of every cow, which just requires a simple hair sample to be sent off to a laboratory, and in about 3 weeks they'll send us back the results. It tells you the breakdown of that cow's genes, and it'll tell you that you're either A1A2 or A2A2. And of course what we're looking for is the A2A2 cows, which have essentially been bred out of a high percentage of the cows that have been bred out of that over the several thousand years, essentially, in order to try to make a cow that will produce more milk and stuff like that. So in reality, we're kind of going back to what cows used to be, several hundred years ago.
Because we've gone into higher production, utilizing more of the Holstein genetics, and we're thinking of quantity, quantity, quantity. So now you're going back and changing the milk, looking at it, it's quality is probably not the best term, but a different type of quality.
Yes.
Right.
So we're standing in front of a crossbred herd of your cows. So what have you guys found genetically with it in the breeds? Are one breed over another have more A2 positive?
Yes, the Guernseys are about 90% A2, and it goes, Jerseys are about 60 to 70, and you get to the Holstein side of things and you're only about 10% of a Holstein that would be A2. So when trying to find the cows you want to buy for this, you certainly want to try to stick with a Guernsey or a Guernsey Jersey cross type cow, and you'll have a higher percentage of the A2 already.
Let's look at the cost per head compared to, you know, traditional forms of milk. A2 cows are more expensive, but it doesn't mean that the quality of milk is different. It's just different milk, right?
Yes, it's just different milk, yeah. Just different milk. And the cows do cost more. On average, what are they?
It's hard to say, but and it depends on how you buy those cows. If you buy those cows already tested and they know that they've got A2 cows,
there's a premium on them.
You're going to pay a premium for that, which could cost you $500, $600, $700, $800 more per head, you know, as opposed to one that's not.
And when you're buying, you know, a dozen or more at a time, that price difference adds up.
That adds up real quick, especially in a industry where you have low margins to begin with. So.
Right, the dairy industry today is struggling, and that is one reason why you guys have diversified and found that niche market. Let's talk about the customer. You know, who is your ideal customer for A2 milk, understanding that they're going to have to pay a higher premium today?
You know, our ideal customer is someone who can't drink or consume dairy.
Lactose intolerant.
Lactose intolerant, or just simply hurts their stomach. They're not sure why. And, you know, and that's our customer. That's going to try our milk and be like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. We can finally have homemade ice cream, or we can have, you know, milk on our cereal and stuff like that. My brother-in-law is a die-hard person now. He's drank and he's like, oh my gosh, I can drink. And he's not been able to have milk for years. And so that's our customer, and that's our base. Yeah, it is going to cost a little bit more, but at the same time, they're going to be able to enjoy dairy that they haven't been able to enjoy for possibly years or even decades.
And thinking about the processing process, that's not good lingo, but when we're in the milk's left the parlor, it's coming to your creamery, when you're bottling that milk, nothing's different. I want to reiterate that you're processing the milk the exact same as you do. Now what your regular milk that you process is done a little differently than what you'd find in a store. Tell me about that.
A regular cream line milk, yes, it's non-homogenized cream line, and it's in gallons, half gallons, and stuff like that. And yeah, we process it, but the two milks are processed exactly the same. There's no difference.
Just on different days.
The labels, just on different days. The different holding tanks or whatever we have to put it in. That's the only difference. Yeah, because we don't do anything to make it A2. Yeah, that's just how it is from the cow.
What does the market look like for the next couple of years when it comes to A2? Are we going to see this more streamlined? Are we going to see it in regular supermarkets? Potentially?
I think so. Yes, I think so. Our milk will be in regular supermarkets soon, and so it'll be available to everybody. And people are becoming more educated on it and understanding what A2 is. And of course, we educate everything on from our Facebook page to in the store. We have posters saying what it is and what it, you know, and what it does for people. So, and the more it's word of mouth, really, and it's word of mouth saying, hey, this is great stuff. You need to try it, and it just grows from there.
Well, consumer education is number one, but isn't the science behind it fun? I mean,
it is.
That's why you're doing it, because you love it, but. Science is evolving, and I always say that agriculturalists, farmers, and ranchers are the first adopters of technology.
Yeah.
And you guys are one of those.
Yeah, the science is amazing. From all the amino acids and the peptide chains and all of the proteins and all these things that go into what A2 does and why it's different and how it helps people and stuff. It's just amazing. Yeah.
So the bottles of A2 milk from Edgewood Creamery will be on the market soon. Is there a future for cheese that's A2?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is a future for A2. We have been asked for A2 cheese. It'll probably be a cheddar and stuff like that. So we are looking into doing that as well. But we're going to get our bottled line out first and then look into A2 cheese after that.
So when the bottled line comes out, of course, you can pop over here to Purdy to pick up a gallon. Where will you be located other places?
We're going to start out with Ozark Natural Foods down in Arkansas, down in Fayetteville, and then the Mama Jean's in Springfield are the two markets we're going to start with. And we're looking into a place in Joplin that might carry it, and Carthage. We haven't solidified that as of yet.